The room at Conferon was meant to be discreet, a quiet table where plates clinked and conversation could breathe. Instead, it became a low-lit theatre of intent. Hansi Flick didn't call it a meeting that needed cameras. There were no flashbulbs, only the dull scrape of cutlery and the murmured exchanges between men who still carry trophies in their jackets. He asked them to sit close not out of ceremony, but necessity. The small gestures mattered. Who listened first, who leaned back, and where Thiago Alcantara chose to place his hands when he first spoke. The message was simple and urgent in equal measure. The season's early script had already shown hairline cracks, and if the backroom couldn't sing from the same page, those cracks would widen under pressure. The facts behind the hush were not dramatic in isolation. A narrow comeback win, a draw that left more questions than answers, a comfortable victory shaded by the unusual circumstance of a 9-man opponent, but stacked together they make a pattern that demands attention. When a team that lifted trophies last year begins to trade confidence for caution, it's easy for noise to drown judgment. Flick knows this. He's lived the small missteps that swell into big problems. Late goals conceded, minutes mismanaged, players arriving back from international duty out of sync. 14 players away on country calls is not just a number on a sheet. It is a fracture in training rhythm, a chessboard with missing pieces. The staff meal became a working seamstress table, everyone threading needles, checking which seams could hold. Thiago's arrival changed the tone of the lunch. He's not merely a headline, he's a bridge, a former player who still understands the dressing room heat, and a coach who can translate that heat into structure. People notice the energy a new voice injects. Conversations shift from routine checklists to problem-solving experiments. If Flick's authority rests on trophies, Thiago's credibility rests on proximity to the players and on an ability to speak their language at full volume, but without alarm. That combination, experience and intimacy, is precisely why Flick gathered the group. The coaching circle needed a recalibration. Who manages minutes, who steadies a player returning from travel, who takes charge of messaging when critics name flaws rather than solutions. Beyond the dinner table, the calendar waits like an impatient judge. A clash with Valencia looms at home, and then the Champions League opens away at Newcastle, a fixture that has teeth and a memory. Nobody forgets last season's early European misstep. These matches are not just fixtures, they are measuring tools. The staff discussed rotation, the fitness maps of players coming back from their national teams, and the fine line between protecting legs and killing momentum. Managing minutes is art and arithmetic. It requires honest assessments from fitness staff and brutal decisions on the training pitch. A team can keep everyone fresh but lose cohesion. It can overplay stars and invite collapse. Flick's lunch was the place to argue those trade-offs until they made sense. Tactics are only as good as the trust behind them. The conversation at Conferon moved from lineup models to the softer business of tone. What is the mood in the corridors? Who needs reassurance? And how will the message be delivered without fracturing confidence? Staff unity is not a press release. It is a rhythm, consistent language, shared assessment, and a willingness to accept blame in private, so players are not left guessing in public. A single misfired message, a coach's contradiction in front of players, and the fragile architecture of a champion season can wobble. Flick's job, then, is to make the backroom sound like one voice, and to make that voice confident enough to swallow the inevitable criticism without cracking. The stakes are both immediate and accumulative. Win the next tests and the lunch becomes a footnote in a season story. Falter and the same gathering will be dissected as a panic meeting. That tension is why the meeting mattered. In the coming days, the club will test the theories born over shared plates. Substitution patterns will reveal ideological leanings. Training intensity will show whether caution or confidence has won. And Thiago's role will be measured not in semantics, but in tangible changes on the pitch. For Flick, the quiet meal was not an answer but a gamble. Buy time with unity or expose the fissures that critics already smell. The next whistle, whether at home against Valencia or under the floodlights in Newcastle, will be the first public verdict on whether this staff retreat truly stitched anything back together, and whether Barcelona's champions can turn whispered strategy into a louder, sturdier reality.